welcome to another episode of Cobbs Corner. To my first-time listeners, welcome to Cobbs Corner, and to my returning listeners, welcome back. On this week's edition of Cobbs Corner, we will be continuing our Change Your Life series with the 2011 rom-com Crazy Stupid Love. Crazy Stupid Love is a movie in which a middle-aged husband's life changes dramatically when his wife asks him for a divorce. He seeks to rediscover his manhood with the help of a newfound friend, Jacob, learning to pick up girls at bars. The movie is directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, written by Dan Fogelman, and stars Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Julianne Moore. A bit of storyline. Cal, Steve Carell, and Emily, Julianne Moore, have the perfect life together, living the American dream, until Emily asks for a divorce. Now Cal, Mr. Husband, has to navigate the single scene with a little help from his professional bachelor friend, Jacob Palmer, played by Ryan Gosling. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Let's go to Cobbs Corner. So Crazy Stupid Love, it follows, Cal, as played by Steve Carell, and his wife, Emily, Cal Weaver, and his wife, Emily, ends up having an affair with one of her friends from work, David Lindhagen, who's actually played by Kevin Bacon, and yeah, so the two of them, so she ends up asking her husband, Emily ends up asking Cal for a divorce, and I guess the two of them, they break up, and Cal ends up going to a bar, because he is now, he's middle-aged, he's in his 40s, and he is now all of a sudden single again for the first time since he was like, I don't even know, for the first time in 30 years, he's single again. So he's thrusted back onto the dating scene, and he starts pretty much going to bars, but he shows up first with this kind of defeatist attitude, this attitude of, I'm a failure, I'm a cuckold, I was blindsided, I let this happen, this is all my fault, and I'm just gonna give up, essentially. And he eventually, Cal, who, and eventually Cal runs into Jacob, who I'll get into in a moment, but there's a young woman by the name of Hannah, who is actually Cal's oldest daughter. She's an adult, and she's been going to, I think, this same bar, and she actually ends up running into Jacob, played by Ryan Gosling, and the two of them chatted up, and Jacob, bit of, I guess, context, Jacob, he's more of a womanizer, playboy, kind of, and I mean this not in a negative connotation, alpha male type. Just calling him just gonna tell it like it is. I mean, in this scenario, Jacob is more of an alpha. You see that he is more well put together. He looks good. He dresses well. He's got a nice haircut, and but he's also got his flaws. He is sort of a manipulative individual who doesn't build strong relationships with people, and that makes him sort of unhappy in the end. So Jacob, he runs into Cal, and It's like one of my favorite scenes. After the divorce, Cal he buys an apartment. I guess his wife kept the house. He ends up moving out and getting his own apartment. And yep, he ends up moving out, getting his own apartment, and having. And when his kids go to see him, I think he has their babysitter, who is played by their babysitter Leo Jessica, Jessica, who's played by Leo Tipton, I think. So he has the babysitter comes over to watch the kids, and little does Cal know it, actually later on in the film, I guess Jessica kind of develops a crush on Cal, essentially, who's older, and Robbie develops a crush on his babysitter, Jessica. Robbie, who is Cal's son, played by Jonah Bobo, and so yeah, there's that funny little like B subplot. And so Cal goes over to meet Jacob at the mall that Saturday at like that Saturday afternoon. And just like one of my favorite shots in the film, just seeing Ryan Gosling dressed up in a suit, wearing sunglasses, eating pizza, is just oh man, it's amazing. It's amazing. Just that wide shot, you just see Ryan Gosling just eating a slice of pizza, just wearing his shades indoors, just, looks like a badass, to be honest. And then Cal shows up wearing his, pretty much dressed like a dad, I guess you could say. He's wearing, like, I don't know, cargo pants and, like, a horizontal striped polo, and New Balance sneakers, 407s, as he calls them, like 407s. They provide lots of comfort. To which then Jacob says, like, "Are you in a fraternity?" It's like, "Are you in a fraternity? Are you Steve Jobs? Are you the CEO of Apple?" And he literally like takes Cal's shoes and like throws them over the balcony, and and this is pretty much the beginning of Jacob's sort of coaching Cal into improving his style and his grooming, and because we see how Cal has become so like attached to pouring into others, which is good. It's a good thing to do. To pour into others and to do for others. But a trade-off of that is he has put his own style, his own grooming, has really taken the back seat to him spending a ton of time with his kids and doing all this stuff for his kids and for his now ex-wife, and just putting all this time and effort into them and improving their lives, and he has neglected his own needs and his own life, his own personality as an individual. As an individual, I won't even say like as a man per se. I think just purely on an individual standpoint, which really is sort of like the polar opposite of Jacob, where he's just put so much, he's boosted himself up so much that it's almost unhealthy. He's just so caught up in like his own style and his own sort of grooming and like the way he looks, and pretty much just like sleeping with as many women as possible, and like not building strong relationships with women or with people at all. So I liked sort of the polarity of these two characters and how they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and they kind of meet in the middle. And Jacob tells him, and Jacob like throws his shoes over the balcony. I think they end up going to this not the Gap, but I think it's like some sort of like tailor shop. They get Cal like a tailored suit. They take him to a barber shop, and Yeah, I think there's like this whole montage of like they're going to all these like different shops. He's getting all these different all these different clothes, all these better clothes, and he's about to go pay for them, and then he pulls out a Velcro wallet. Pulls out like a Velcro wallet, and Jacob's like, "Where do you guys keep your wallets?" So yeah, they literally get him a new wallet, which. You know, no disrespect to anybody who has a Velcro wallet, but like I haven't had a Velcro wallet since I was in like middle school. To be honest, you know, I think as an adult having a leather wallet, I think as a fully grown man having a leather wallet, or having like I know there's other wallets, there's like the Ridge wallet and other stuff. But I think not having a Velcro wallet is a sign of maturity. I would say. I would say, yep. If you're, you know, an adult, you're over 18, you should not have a Velcro wallet. PSA to everyone listening. Not saying that you're a terrible individual or anything, but you know, I would just suggest that you maybe upgrade your wallet game. Moving on. And so after this whole scene, this whole montage, we see the two of them. The two of them walk into this bar together, and they start. And Jacob sort of starts telling Cal like how to approach women, how to talk to women at these bars, and the first couple and Cal kind of botches like the first couple encounters. Doesn't go all that great, but then he eventually, eventually he's able to approach a woman named Kate, who we've heard the voice of earlier in the film, and I'll get to that in just a second. He approaches Kate, who is played by Marissa Tomei. Marvel fans might remember her as Aunt May in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. So he approaches Kate, and the two of them really hit it off. Although he initially kind of starts off good, and then it kind of like goes downhill a bit. He starts talking about like his insecurities and how his wife just left him and all that, and you know, it's like. But eventually, you know, he's able to. Eventually, he's able to win her over, and they go back to his apartment. They hook up, and wakes up. You know, she wakes up the next morning. He, you know, walks her out. Plus, they were around the same age as well. You know, the two of them, they were around the same age. So yeah, you know, we see you know, Kate, you know, the two of them, they sort of hit it off. Although Cal does not call her back. We realize, you know, Cal does not call her back, and then at the parent teacher conference, you know, there's a parent-teacher conference for Robbie, and Robbie, who had made some very suggestive comments when reading, I think in English class, like they were reading The Crucible, I think. Yeah, I think they were reading The Crucible, which is not a book that I have read. It's not a book that I think it's a book that we had in my English class in high school, but I didn't read it that semester. Now, that quarter, I think I read... Yeah, my 10th grade, I definitely read To Kill a Mockingbird. I started reading Lord of the Flies and never finished that. Crucible, I think it's got something to do with like the Salem witch trials. But I highly recommend that. You know, if anybody who has like read The Crucible, definitely let me know your thoughts on it. Because in an earlier scene, Robbie had really pretty much said how true love is fake, and you know, anyone who believes in love is an asshole, and he was really used the term asshole a lot in that scene. Which makes sense. I mean, you know, his parents just got divorced, and so, you know, it takes a toll, and I'm sure it takes a toll on kids who grow up, who spend either some or all of their childhood, some or all of their childhood growing up in a divorced household. I'm sure it's not easy. So Cal and Emily, they show up to parent-teacher night, and they meet with Robbie's English teacher, who, sure enough, is Kate. So this whole encounter, it's like, I'm wondering, like, who do I feel sorry for more? Do I feel more sorry for Kate or Cal? Because Cal, it's like he's in the same room with his ex-wife and a former one-night stand of his. Essentially, it's like your ex and the current person that you're seeing, or person that you saw at some point. It's like, really, I think it was probably an awkward conversation for all three of them, even for Emily, being in the same room as someone who, I guess, Emily and Kate have both slept with Cal. It's like, so, it's like, you've both been with the same guy at different points in time. So, yeah, that was probably a awkward conversation. And it pretty much ends with, Emily sort of storms out after she realizes that Cal and Kate had hooked up. So, and it's unclear as to whether or not the divorce, Cal and Emily's, like, it's unclear whether or not the ink has officially dried on their divorce, like if the divorce is like finalized at this point or not. I don't think they ever really like confirm or deny that in the movie. But Emily storms out, and Cal, I guess, he feels awful about it, but yep, and then he goes back to the bar and just has like terrible experience, I guess. And then I think the story, like, it shifts over to Jacob and how he meets Hannah, who passes the bar, who at this point has passed the bar and is officially a lawyer. Hannah, she ends up seeing Jacob again and going and pretty much going home with him. Pretty much going home with him. Only difference is this time they don't simply just sleep together and then never see each other again. It's like Jacob, he ends up like opening up to Hannah and actually being vulnerable and actually talking about his life and his parents and how he thought that he would be happy by having this big house and all this really nice stuff, and he bought a massage chair for like $5,000 and he's used it twice. So like $2,500 a massage, and how he just got so caught up in all these material things, all the aesthetics, all these material possessions that never brought him happiness, that haven't brought him happiness and never will bring him happiness, because they're just things, they're material possessions. And this sort of leads to Jacob and Hannah falling in love, sort of, and Jacob kind of goes off the grid. He's not intentionally like ghosting Cal per se, but Jacob, he starts to go on dates with Hannah, and the two of them just really have a ton of fun together. And he's, Jacob's just preoccupied with Hannah. He's now in a relationship, and he's now he's finally opening up, and it looks as if he's like changing his ways and changing, no longer being the womanizer that he once was, the playboy that he once was, and he's really starting to sort of settle down and have a real, genuine relationship with Hannah. And it all comes to a head when Cal, I guess it was in an effort to try and win Emily back. And it was probably in an effort to try and win Emily back. Cal, he has this whole thing set up at the house, and he even got his kids involved. And pretty much they like blindfold Emily. They bring her out to the back, and I guess Cal was going to give some sort of like speech about Emily. And it's a really funny scene because Hannah shows up. Hannah, who again is Cal's oldest daughter, Cal's adult daughter, who he had at 17, and hence why he got married. Hence why him and Emily got married at like 19. Like they were younger than me. They got married so young because they had Hannah really young as well. And she shows up with Jacob, and Cal realizes that Jacob has secretly been in a relationship with Hannah this whole time. Well, not from the very beginning, but the whole time that Jacob wouldn't pick up his phone, he was seeing Hannah, who is Cal's daughter. So like it's all coming together. And it's also a funny scene because Jessica, she has tried to I guess take an explicit photo. She's like taken an explicit photo of herself and like put it in some envelope. put it in like some envelope. She was going to give it to Cal, but then her father Bernie, played by John Carroll Lynch, who after Cal and Emily got divorced had found Cal at the bar and pretty much said how he can't be friends with Cal anymore, and now his wife made him choose between him or Emily. So as like a going away present, Bernie bought Cal some cologne. So we see Bernie again, who again Jessica's father. He sees the explicit photos. He rushes over to Cal's house, drives over to Cal's house. Jessica, driving behind him, and then Bernie attacks Cal. Well, I think he tries to attack Jacob. Bernie attacks Cal, and it's like the three of them just start fighting, and then I guess the police are called, and then they say like, look, we'll just put it as like domestic disturbance, just keep your arguments inside. So yeah, I think that was very that was definitely a very, very, very funny scene. So yeah, at that point, so at this point in the movie, Cal is, I guess, still technically single. Jacob and Hannah are together. Robbie still has his crush on Jessica. Jessica, I guess, still kind of has her crush on Cal or whatever. And the movie ends with Robbie, who I guess was his middle school, either valedictorian or salutatorian, which I'm not sure about other middle schools. I went to an engineering school that was still developing and expanding the majority of the time that I was there. So when I was in middle school, we didn't have caps and gowns at the middle school graduation. And I don't even think we had a middle school valedictorian and salutatorian per se. Like I think that wasn't until high school. But so Robbie's apparently his 8th grade valedictorian. So yeah, he gives some speech about about true love, and he's like, and I'm sure you can all sit back and laugh, like, oh, I'm 13 years old. What do I know about love? And he just kind of goes on and on with this really just depressed story. And then his father, Cal, and both of his parents are there. They're not sitting together, I don't think. But Cal, he just stands up, and he walks down, and he really just saves the day, saying how Robbie's been going through a lot with both of his parents being divorced, and really Cal really just comes down and saves the day. Yeah, as the new and improved Cal, who has upgraded his wardrobe and really improved his life with Jacob's help. And we see Jacob, he's in the audience with Hannah, and the movie ends with everyone pretty much, it ends on a high note, essentially. I guess Cal and Emily are friends. Jacob and Hannah are together. Cal finally, makes his peace with Jacob. He goes over, he shakes Jacob's hand, he says, take care of her. And Jessica, tells Robbie how the two of them will never be a thing. He's still young. Take care of yourself. I will see you around. And yeah, the movie ends on a high note. Before I go into the trivia, I will pretty much give you guys my, I guess, main thematic takeaways from this movie. The movie deals with the themes of self-improvement, which is actually a very popular theme on online today. It's very hot topic, and I've kind of touched on it a little bit in my Fight Club review. I had pretty much told you guys how I actually am a supporter of the Tate brothers and Jordan Peterson, David Goggins. I'm a supporter of all those guys, all the so-called red pill community. I'm a supporter of them, but I've also realized that high value does not automatically equal high character. So it's important to Cal being someone of maybe low value and high character, and Jacob being someone of high value but low character. So being able to merge those two, being someone who takes care of yourself, who looks good, who brushes their teeth regularly, who has a skincare routine. All the men listening, you guys should have a skincare routine. I'm not sponsored by Tiege Hanley yet, but I personally use Tiege Hanley. Make sure that you have a skincare routine. Make sure you're brushing your teeth. Make sure you're showering daily. Make sure you smell nice. Make sure you have a nice haircut, and you look good. Improve your style. That's all good. And I'm actually an advocate for that. Make sure that you're looking on point, smell on point. Exercise. Personal hygiene. That's very important. But also, the other side of that coin, the other side of that coin that I think I touched on in my Groundhog Day review is be a person of high character. Be willing to open yourself up to people and be honest and build relationships, whether they be platonic or possibly, platonic and possibly romantic, and realize that material possessions are just things. Things will not make you happy. Things will not add value to your life. Owning things, I'm not against owning things. Sure, you can have a nice car, you can have a nice house, but just know that true happiness comes from helping others. True happiness comes from pouring into others, as well as pouring into yourself. Pouring into yourself and others, adding value to yourself, adding value to others. So yeah, just being able to be a person of high character. I think that's the main theme of this movie is being someone of high character and also a person of high value and who takes care of themselves and who does not just accept defeat and does not have this defeatist outlook on life. Like I'm even thinking back to my episode on the Count of Monte Cristo. Go listen to that episode. And we saw how Edmond Dantes, he could have given up when he was in prison. He could have accepted the fact, like, he could have just given up and said, you know what, I'm gonna die in here anyway. There's no point in me even trying to escape or even trying to, learn all that I can. Could have accepted defeat, but he didn't. Cal, he could have given up. He had a very defeatist outlook on life. He had a very defeatist outlook on life. Very, very blue pill, very borderline incel, I would say. Borderline incel, very like almost black pill way of viewing life. Saying how like my life is messed up and there's nothing that I can do. It's not my fault and there's nothing I can do to improve my life. And it's just not fair. Just pretty much mad at the world. Not just mad at women, but mad at the entire world. And I think that's a very dangerous outlook to have on life, especially for I'm particularly talking to my male audience. I realize that my listeners on Spotify is about like 89-90% male. So to the men listening, men of all ages, especially the men who I would say under 25. My age group, those of us between 18 and 25. You cannot have this defeatist outlook on life. And you have to be willing to roll with the punches, especially when it comes to dating, especially when it comes to relationships. Not every interaction that you have with a member of the opposite sex is going to lead to them sleeping with you. Straight up. And, you got to be willing to take the hits. You got to be willing to put yourself out there, try new things, and improve yourself. Learn as you go. Every single day, improve yourself. And I said in my last episode how self-improvement, that is a choice that you must make on a daily basis. So being able to improve yourself, being able to build relationships with people, be a kind person, be a person of high character, and don't get too caught up in the whole being high value and I need to, know as many people as possible and sleep with as many people as possible. It's like, don't get too caught up in that. Alright? Not saying don't go to bars, not saying don't go and talk to girls or don't, go out and meet people. But what's most important is what's on the inside. And I know that was a mouthful just now, but I will leave you all with a quote from the great poet known as Lauryn Hill. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? To a bit of trivia and I guess ratings, if you will. So all of this trivia and goofs and stuff, this is all I get this all from IMDb. So shout out to any of my listeners who are contributors on IMDb. But that said, take all of this with a grain of salt. So moving on. IMDb rating, it's got a 7.4 out of 10. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair. 7.4 out of 10. Solid movie. As of the recording of this podcast, this movie is available on Hulu. It's available on Hulu now. I think it was available on Max a few months ago, like maybe last month or I think back in May when I first started recording for this series. But it is now, as of the recording of this podcast, available on Hulu, so you can check this out on Hulu. A bit of the trivia. While rehearsing for this scene where Ryan Gosling lifted Emma Stone in the air, Dirty Dancing style, Stone didn't realize she had a phobia of being lifted high up until the first time Gosling did it. She had a full meltdown which Gosling described as like a possum falling out of a tree and trying to scratch your eyes out. Afterwards, she ran away crying and had to lie in bed watching Labyrinth to calm down. Her phobia came from when she was 7 years old and fell off the high bars in gymnastics and broke both her arms. They ended up using a body double for the lift, but they did use the recording of Stone's real screams. Oh. Okay, well, I mean, must have been a really great fall. When she was 7, you broke both of her arms. I mean, well, it's tough. It's actually really tough. But yeah, they used her real screams. I had a feeling like as I was watching the movie that maybe they would have used a body double. I don't think they would have actually lifted Emma Stone up high. I haven't seen Dirty Dancing. Haven't seen Dirty Dancing. R.I.P. to Patrick Swayze. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. The filmmakers offered a free iPad on set to whomever came up with a title for the movie. Wow. Hey, look. If I worked on this movie, if I were any of the writers, if I were the director or anybody who worked, if I worked on this film and they offered a free iPad, you best believe I'd be up at 3 a.m. thinking, brainstorming titles. I'm like, all right, well, one of these titles is gonna work. Okay, let's say stupid crazy love, love that's crazy and stupid. Crazy stupid love. I would have wanted that free iPad. Steve Carell has said that he hates the title of the film, stating that he couldn't imagine a group of college guys saying 5 tickets to Crazy Stupid Love, please. One of the working titles Carell preferred was The Wingman, which he felt was a boring title but more accurately describes the film's plot. Yeah, it's just like in the last bit of trivia. I can definitely see one of the working titles being Wingman. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they should have gone with that title. Let me know in the comments below, like what you guys think of. Like, should they have stuck with the title Crazy Stupid Love? Should they have just gone with Wingman or the Wingman? Which do you think more accurately describes the movie? Emma Stone is a merely 3 days older than Leo Tipton. However, her character Hannah, approximately 24 to 25 years old, is 7 to 8 years older than Tipton's Jessica, 17 years old. Certain actors can play somebody who's, some can actually play certain actors can play someone who's younger than them. Others can play characters that are older than them. Like, I always think back to how Ralph Macchio was 22 years old. He was my age when he did the first Karate Kid movie. He was maybe either 21 or 22 when he did the Karate Kid, but he could not only look 17, play somebody who's 17, 18 years old, but he could also embody the mentality of somebody who was 4 to 5 years younger than he was in real life. I mean, you could chalk it up to it's called acting, but I also think that's where the talent comes in. for you to be able to play somebody who's younger than you. You know, play a character who's younger than you, or like even Tobey Maguire, how he was 27 when Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out. So he had to play somebody who was like, he had to play like a 17-year-old, like a 17-year-old kid. You know, he had to play somebody who was 10 years younger than him. That's what you call talent. That is what you call talent. I would say. You know, especially guys like Maguire playing somebody 10 years younger than you. It's talent. Well, I think it's talent because you have to sort of put yourself into like the mind of who you were at that age. You know, but I think it's harder to play somebody who's older than you actually are in real life. You know, for you to be like, say my age, you know, 22 years old, but then you got to play somebody who's like 32 or like 35. Like, you don't know what it's like to be that age. So yeah, I mean, I always get a kick out of that. You know, actors playing characters older or younger than them. So the screenplay for the film was featured in the 2010 Blacklist, a list of the most liked unmade scripts of the year. I can see that. The movie actually had a pretty solid script. You know, pretty solid script. The pacing was on point. The script and the pacing were definitely on point. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about this movie. A bit of goofs. Continuity. During the parent-teacher conference, the word asshole onto the chalkboard changes the writing style 4 times. Okay, well, I don't think I noticed that at first. When Bernie finds out that his daughter is in love with Cal, he drives over to the house where Emily and the Weaver family are living. When he runs around the corner of the house, Robbie immediately calls out, "Jessica!" Even though she is not very visible, and Robbie can therefore not know Jessica is also coming. Okay, so a little continuity error. I wonder, was this an error on the part of the actor who played Robbie? His name, Jonah Bobo. I wonder, was that an error on his part? Character errors. At around an hour and 40 minutes, the man in front of Cal is recording with the lens cap on, quote-unquote recording with the lens cap on. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've like accidentally done that. You know? Or like the program I'm with, STEM on Wheels, we have thermal imaging cameras. We got to tell the kids to take the lens caps off. So when Cal begins telling Emily how to relight the water heater pilot, he tells her to open the gray door by sliding it down. As he finishes the directions, he tells her not to forget to slide the gray door back down, presumably to close it. Okay. Well, then again, he could see her and she wasn't really trying to fix the pilot light or anything like that, so technically a character error. Sort of. Some quotes. Cal, how about we say what we want on 3? 1, 2, 3. Emily, I want a divorce. Cal, at the same time, creme brulee. Yeah, that was definitely like one of the funniest lines in the movie. That, I think it's between that and You Can Do Better Than the Gap. Cal, I have loved her even when I hated her. Only married couples will understand that one. Shout out to the married couples who listen to my podcast, though. You know, shout out to y'all. Yeah, because although I'm not married yet, I've heard that marriage is what you make of it, and it's not easy. I've heard that marriage, it's a lot of work, it's not easy, and it is what you make of it. So I'll definitely have to go back and rewatch this movie once I'm married. I'll have to go back and rewatch this movie, and then maybe it'll maybe that quote will definitely make more sense, because I can't, speak to that experience because I'm not married, but, Jacob, are you the billionaire owner of Apple Computers? Cal, no. Jacob, oh, okay, in that case, you've got no right to wear New Balance sneakers, ever. I have a pair of New Balance sneakers, but I feel like I've only had maybe like 2 pairs of New Balance in my entire life. I can only really remember wearing New Balance one other time when I was like 10. But yeah, I usually wear Nikes. Do any of you actually wear New Balance? Like, let me know in the comments. Do you guys actually wear New Balance sneakers? Like, so. Hannah, will you take off your shirt? Fuck, seriously? It's like you're photoshopped. Yeah, I mean, there's always these. I'm convinced some of these fitness influencers. I get this movie came out in 2011, and like Instagram wasn't really a thing yet. I mean, it existed, but it hadn't like blown up into what it is now. Like, I feel like 2011, you could argue. I mean, it was 12 years ago. You could even argue that it was a different time in the world of social media. I think social media was not as big as it is today. 2011, the only social media we really had was like Facebook and Twitter, I think. That was like the Twitter and Facebook era. Instagram didn't blow up for another like 2 years. Snapchat just didn't exist yet. So yeah. I mean, I'm sure some of the guys, some of the men and women on Instagram and on all these dating apps, some of y'all probably photoshopped, and you know who you are. I see you. All right. Last quote from Jacob. The war between the sexes is over. We won the second women started doing pole dancing for exercise. I'm gonna have to rewatch this movie because it's like I feel like I remember this quote. Maybe it was when Jacob met Cal at the bar, but what would Tyler Durden say? Am I right? Kind of disagree. Well, war between the sexes is not over. But I will leave that to the Fresh and Fit podcast. On to the awards. So the movie has a total of 4 award wins and 23 nominations. In 2012, it was nominated for a People's Choice Award for Favorite Comedy Movie. In 2012, it was a Golden Globe nominee for Best Performance by an Actor in a Movie Picture, Comedy, or Musical. Ryan Gosling was nominated in 2012 for that Golden Globe. Critics' Choice Awards. That same year, Crazy Stupid Love was nominated for Best Comedy Movie at the Critics' Choice Awards. The Central Ohio Film Critics Association Kafka Award. Ryan Gosling he was nominated for Actor of the Year in 2012 at the Kafka Awards, Central Ohio Film Critics Association Awards, which I have not heard of. And if anyone listening is a member of the Kafka, I would love to attend the awards someday. I would love to get to know all of you and join you all one day. Rembrandt Awards. Best International Film. Best Buitenlands Film. 2012 nominee. Empire Awards in the United Kingdom. Was nominated for Best Comedy at the Empire Awards in the UK. Shout out to my listeners in the UK, across the pond. MTV Movie and TV Awards. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling were nominated for Best Kiss, and Emma Stone was nominated for Best Female Performance. BMI Film and TV Awards. Nick Urata won Film Music. Won the award for film music at the BMI Film and TV Awards in 2012. Young Artist Award, Jonah Bobo, nominated for Best Performance in a Feature Film Supporting Young Actor. Jonah Bobo, who played Robbie, nominated for Young Artist Awards. Teen Choice Awards. Oof. They got a lot. Choice Movie Comedy nominee in 2012. Choice Movie Comedy nominee. Choice Movie Actor in a Comedy, Ryan Gosling, nominee. Choice Movie Actress in a Comedy, Emma Stone. Emma Stone won Choice Movie Actress in a Comedy. Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell were nominated for Choice Movie Chemistry. Steve Carell was nominated for Choice Movie Hissy Fit. And Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling were nominated for Choice Movie Lip Lock. That's all 2012 Teen Choice Awards. Casting Society of America. Mindy Marin, who was the casting director, and Kara Lipson, casting associate, won Outstanding Achievement in Casting, Big Budget Feature Comedy at the Archios Award at the CSA, Casting Society of America. Mindy Marin and Kara Lipson won Outstanding Achievement in Casting. Oh, it's listed twice. Golden Trailer Awards. Best Romance TV Spot, 2012 nominee at the Golden Trailer Awards. Was nominated for Best Romance TV Spot and Best Wild Posts. This movie was nominated. Denver Film Critics Society nominated Ryan Gosling for Best Supporting Actor, the DFCS Awards. I would love to attend these awards ceremonies, guys. Don't forget to just, email. The Jupiter Awards, Best International Actress, Julianne Moore, the 2012 nominee at the Jupiter Awards. Guild of Music Supervisors Awards, George Drakoulias, nominated for Best Music Supervision for film budgeted over $20 million. GMS Award. St. Louis Film Critics Association, 2011, they nominated Crazy Stupid Love for Best Comedy Film, SLFCA Awards. Detroit Film Critics Society Awards. How many critics societies are there here in America? Like, there's so many, like, all these different regions. Is there one for New England? Okay, like, being that I'm actually from New England, like New England, Connecticut, we got anything? No, probably not. Detroit Film Critics Society Awards. 2011 nominee for Best Ensemble, and Ryan Gosling was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Golden Schmoes Award. This movie was nominated for Best Comedy of the Year in 2011. And that is all for the award nominations and wins. 23 nominations and 4 wins. Last but not least, Rotten Tomatoes, 79%. Certified fresh, 79% on the tomato meter. 78% audience score. I agree with both of these. It's ironic, the critics have ranked it higher than the audience by 1%. Critics consensus: it never lives up to the first part of its title, but Crazy Stupid Love's unabashed sweetness and its terrifically talented cast more than make up for its flaws. Okay. I feel like that critics consensus doesn't match the tomato meter score, but okay. But I don't disagree. I do not disagree. I think this is still a great movie. It's still a great movie. Lots of laughs, lots of really important takeaways. So check out this movie. Yep, so guys, definitely check out this movie, watch it. For those of you who maybe do not have subscriptions to Hulu, you can rent it or buy it on Vudu, Prime Video, or Apple TV. That is all that I've got for today's review of Crazy Stupid Love. If you made it to the very end of this episode, I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review on all of your listening platforms. Give us a review on all the listening platforms. Don't forget to like this podcast, share it with your friends, turn on and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on your post notifications, because I drop a new episode every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Tune in next week for the final movie in our Change Your Life series, The Way Back. Next week, as we close out this amazing review series that I've greatly enjoyed doing for you all. Hope you enjoyed your stay here at Cobbs Corner. As always, I'll talk to all of you in the next episode.